Hey everyone, welcome back to the coffee shop. Elena, I have to tell you about my morning. I was sitting at my desk trying to work and suddenly I went to hungry, like really hungry.
Wait, James, you went to Hungary? That sounds a bit like you took a bus to a city called Hungary.
I wish there would probably be better snacks there. But seriously, is that wrong? In my head, I was changing from not hungry to hungry.
I see what you're doing, but in English, we use a very special word for that change. We say, I got hungry. You'll find that get is really the Swiss Army knife of our language.
The Swiss Army knife? So it's a tool for everything? I always try to figure out which verb to use, like become or arrive, but they always feel so formal.
Exactly. If you say, I became hungry, you sound like a character in a 19th century novel. Using get is how you sound like a real person. It's a chameleon word. It changes meaning based on what's next to it.
That makes sense. I think I need to get used to it because I hear it all the time. My wife uses it constantly when she's telling me to get moving in the morning.
She's right. It's essential for moving from a B1 level to a natural B2 flow. So here's the plan for today. First, we're going to look at the B1 basics, using get for changes in movement.
And after that, please tell me there are idioms. I love a good idiom.
Of course, we'll look at some B2 nuances and then finish with those idioms that will make you sound supernatural. How about you listening at home? Do you use get often or do you stick to the boring textbook verbs?
Don't be shy. If you want to catch up with how people actually speak in the real world, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out.
All right, let's dive in. James, let's talk about why you got hungry this morning. Was it because my cat stole your breakfast again?
I wish I could blame the cat. No, I just forgot to eat. But then I got a coffee and felt much better. See, I'm using it already.
Well, actually, James, getting a coffee is more about buying or receiving it, but you're on the right track. Today, let's focus on get plus an adjective. This shows a change of state. You aren't just at a place, you're moving from one feeling to another.
Oh, okay. So like when I'm getting ready for work. It's always a disaster at my house. I'm usually running around looking for my shoes, and I often run into the kitchen table because I'm in such a hurry. My wife is always already in the car waiting for me.
Exactly. You aren't ready yet, but you are in the process of becoming ready. You're getting there. It's much more common than saying, I am preparing. I had a similar moment last weekend. My husband and I went for a walk in the woods to find some specific birds he likes, and we totally got lost.
Oh no, did you have a map? I usually can't figure out those paper maps. They're like puzzles to me.
We didn't, and my phone battery died. As the sun started to go down, we were getting tired and honestly getting worried. Everything started to look the same.
I feel you. I get lost even in the grocery store if they move the cereal to a different aisle. It's so frustrating. But eventually you found your way back, right?
We finally saw the parking lot. But it's a great example of how our situation changed. We weren't lost, and then we got lost. How about you listening at home? Do you get lost easily, or are you like a human GPS?
I bet most people use their phones now. But what about when nothing is happening, like in a long meeting? I always get bored after about 10 minutes. I start drawing little pictures of my dog on my notepad.
I've seen those drawings, but that's another perfect use. You start interested, then the speaker talks for too long, and you get bored. It's a transition. Or think about the weather. When it starts to rain, you get wet.
Right. You don't become wet like a piece of paper in a lab. You just get wet because you forgot your umbrella. Again. I think I'm finally starting to get the hang of this. It's all about that movement between two conditions.
Spot on. It's the journey between point A and point B. It even happens with our emotions. Like when my neighbor watches me from her window while I'm gardening, I get uncomfortable pretty quickly.
Maybe she's just getting curious about your plants. Or maybe she's waiting for you to catch up on the local gossip.
Maybe. But the point is, using get makes your English sound movie and alive, not static and frozen like a textbook.
That makes sense. But what about when I want someone else to do something? Like, I have a really hard time when I'm walking my dog. Sometimes he just stops and won't move. I try to talk him into walking again, but he's stubborn.
That's a perfect bridge to our next topic. When you finally persuade him to move, you can say, I finally got my dog to walk. This is what we call the causative get. It's different from using have.
I usually just say I made him walk, or I had the dog walk. Is there a big difference?
There is a subtle nuance. If you have someone do something, it's usually a simple request or a professional service. Like, I had the mechanic fix my car. You paid him, he did the job. No drama.
But with get, there's drama?
A little bit. Using get implies persuasion, effort, or even a little trickery. If you say, I got the mechanic to fix my car for free, it sounds like you're a very good negotiator. You had to figure out a way to convince him.
Oh, I see. So if I got my wife to agree to go camping, it means she probably didn't want to go at first, and I had to promise her a fancy dinner later.
Exactly. You used your powers of persuasion. It's get plus the person plus to and the verb. Don't forget that too. It's the most important part of the structure.
I think I'm starting to get the hang of this. I use this a lot at home without realizing it. I've been trying to get my husband to fix the leaky sink for weeks, but he keeps putting off the repairs to watch the football.
We all have those chores we avoid. I have the same struggle with my niece. She's 7, and trying to get her to eat her vegetables is like a professional negotiation. I have to tell her they are superpower trees just to get her to take one bite.
Superpower trees. That's clever. How about you, listening at home? Is there something you've been trying to get someone to do lately? Maybe you're trying to get your boss to give you a raise?
That would definitely require some persuasion. It's a very natural way to describe those little social victories. It shows that you didn't just ask, you succeeded in changing someone's mind.
I definitely need more of those victories. I actually run out of clean socks almost every week because I can't get myself to do the laundry until Sunday night.
Well, James, maybe you can get your dog to help you with the laundry. Although knowing him, he'd probably just hide the socks instead.
Oh, he definitely would. He is convinced my socks are a rare delicacy. I am still trying to get the hang of keeping them in a drawer and not scattered all over the living room floor.
Get the hang of it. That is such a useful phrase for our listeners. It basically means you are learning how to do something that was difficult or confusing at first. You are finally finding your rhythm.
Exactly. Like when we first started this podcast, I was so nervous about the buttons and the microphones. I thought I would never get the hang of the technical stuff. But now it feels much more natural.
You have definitely improved. I felt the same way when I started my little garden. At first, I could not figure out why everything was turning brown. I had to get the hang of the watering schedule and, honestly, the local weather.
I am still trying to get the hang of cooking something other than toast. Last night I tried to make a pasta sauce, and let us just say my wife suggested we order pizza instead. I just cannot seem to catch up with her skills in the kitchen.
It takes time. Do not be too hard on yourself. How about you, listening at home? Is there a new skill or a hobby you are trying to get the hang of? Maybe it is a sport, or maybe it is just these English phrasal verbs.
Hopefully they are getting it. But sometimes you have to stop playing around and really focus. My boss says this all the time in meetings when people start talking about their weekend plans. He says, "All right, everyone, let us get down to business."
That is our second spotlight phrase, to get down to business. It means to stop the small talk and start focusing on the important work or the main topic. It's very common in offices, but you can use it at home too.
Oh, I use it when I finally sit down to pay the bills. I tell myself, James, stop looking at funny videos of birds. It's time to get down to business. Usually, I only get around to it when it's almost too late.
I use it with my husband when we need to plan our vacation. We can talk about the food we want to eat for hours, but eventually we have to get down to business and actually book the flights and the hotel.
It sounds so serious, but it is actually a really helpful way to transition. It's like saying, okay, playtime is over, let us be productive.
Precisely. It's a shift in mindset. I think it's interesting how get is used in both phrases to show a movement toward a goal, whether it is a new skill or a serious task.
It really is the Swiss Army knife of verbs. I'm starting to see it everywhere now. I think I have finally got the hang of spotting it when I watch movies too. Actually, Elena, that gives me an idea. Why don't we test our listeners, and you, with a little transformation quiz? I want to see if everyone can figure out how to use get in the real world.
Oh, I love a challenge. I'm ready. How about you at home? Are you ready to transform some sentences with us?
Okay, here is the first one. How would you say this more naturally using get? I arrived home at 6 o'clock.
That is a classic. You would say, I got home at 6 o'clock. It sounds much less like a police report and much more like a conversation.
Exactly. Okay, number 2. I bought a new phone yesterday.
That's another easy one. I got a new phone yesterday. We use bought for buying or receiving things all the time. It is so much more common than bought in casual chat.
Spot on. Now, the final boss, the tricky one. How do you change this? I persuaded her to call me.
Ooh, the causative. That would be, I got her to call me. Remember that little word too, everyone. It shows you put in some effort to make it happen.
You nailed it. I hope everyone at home got those right too. It really changes the vibe of your English, doesn't it?
It really does. Now, before we move on, let's take a moment for our vocabulary corner to review some of the great words we have used today. To figure out. To figure out. This means to find an answer or a solution to a problem after thinking about it for a while.
I finally figured out how to use that new coffee machine at work without making a huge mess.
And I am trying to figure out why my cat thinks it is okay to wake me up at 4 in the morning for snacks. To run into. To run into. This is when you meet someone unexpectedly or by chance when you are out.
I ran into an old friend from high school at the grocery store yesterday.
I always seem to run into my boss when I am wearing my oldest, ugliest sweater. To put off. To put off. This means to delay doing something because you don't want to or you are busy.
I have been putting off cleaning the garage for months because there are too many spiders in there.
My husband always puts off booking our flights until the prices go up. To run out of. To run out of. This means you have used all of something and there is nothing left.
We ran out of toilet paper last night and I had to go to the shop in the rain.
I always run out of energy by Thursday afternoon and need a big nap. To catch up. To catch up. This means to talk to someone you haven't seen for a while to hear their latest news.
I'm going to catch up with my sister over coffee this weekend.
It is so nice to catch up with my niece and hear about all her school projects. To get used to. To get used to. This means the process of becoming familiar with something that was new or strange.
I am still getting used to the new software they installed on my computer at the office.
It took me a long time to get used to the silence after we moved from the city to the countryside. We have covered so much today, from the basic changes to those tricky, persuasive situations. I really hope you feel more confident now.
I definitely do. I feel like I'm finally starting to get the hang of using get instead of always reaching for those stiff, formal verbs. It makes everything sound so much more relaxed.
Exactly. And to help you really lock this in, I have a 24-hour challenge for you. It is simple, I promise. Within the next day, I want you to use get in 3 different ways in one conversation.
3 ways? That sounds like a lot to figure out while you were actually talking.
You can do it. Just try to use it once for becoming, like saying you got tired, then once for buying or obtaining, like getting a snack, and finally once for arriving, like getting to work. How about you, James? Do you think you can manage that?
I will give it a shot when I catch up with my wife later. I'll tell her I got hungry, then I got a sandwich, and then I got home as fast as I could to see her. See? Easy.
Perfect. How about you listening at home? Do you think you can use get 3 times today? We would love to hear how it goes.
And hey, if you're enjoying the show and want to make sure you never miss an episode, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us keep the coffee brewing and the English lessons coming.
It really does. And don't worry if you don't get it perfect right away. It takes time to get used to new ways of speaking. The important thing is that you are trying.
Well, I better get moving. I think my dog has found another one of my socks and I need to run into the other room to save it.
Good luck with that. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. You are making amazing progress.
Bye for now. See you in the next episode.
Goodbye.